You have been lied to as an engineering student about how getting the perfect report card and perfect GPA is somehow supposed to get you your dream career. Because the truth is that the top 1% of engineering students are those that take initiative to develop the deeper levels of skill that your classes simply can't teach you. Like me myself, I may not have had a 4.0 GPA, yet I still single-handedly built my own personal project, provided mechanical design work for personal clients, and landed internships way faster than anyone around me. So listen closely, because this is the way that you dominate in engineering school. Did you know that Nikola Tesla skipped his lectures when he was in university studying engineering? Yeah, Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest, if not the greatest engineer of all time, who impacted the world into what it is today, skipped his classes. But he didn't skip his classes so that he could slack off during this time and play video games like all of the other pretengineers in your class. But he skipped his classes so that he could work on his personal projects that he had going on. The projects that would later lead to him implementing AC power around this fucking globe, this whole world that we call home, is due to his actions of making projects that we have what we have today. That you have your fridge that keeps all of your food. We have this light bulb right here. We have this microphone. We have this phone that you're fucking watching this video on. What would have happened if Nikola Tesla was a good boy? He attended his lectures and he got the perfect GPA and perfect report card. What would the world be like? Wouldn't be what it is today. Wouldn't be as advanced as it is today. That was a disclaimer. I'm not saying that you drop out of university and skip all of your classes and slack off, because quite frankly, you're not Nikola Tesla, first of all, but I'm saying that you should essentialize other things other than your class. Because everybody that you see in engineering school, everybody takes those fucking classes. So why should you spend all of your time trying to optimize for that if that's not even going to make you look special to engineering recruiters once you graduate and apply to engineering jobs? Sure, the theoretical knowledge that you learn in class is good, but it's simply not enough to make you a great engineer and make you that great engineer that you're meant to be. So to start off, you need to start making projects and take some time away from these classes and take some time away from studying to get the perfect report card so that you can make these projects, okay? In my program link down below, I teach people how to make projects and which projects they should make. And these are the 3 forms of projects that you could turn to while you're in university. There's design club projects, there's group projects that are in your classes, and there are also personal projects. Now I want to highlight personal projects because personal projects was the #1 thing that got me my first internship within only a 2-week hunting period for the job. 2 weeks, you heard me right. It sometimes takes people months to get their first internship. And these personal projects made it so that I could take the fast lane to an internship. It started in June of 2023 when I started to make CAD models and 3D print these CAD models. I started off with mechanisms, and then I started to make models of machinery. And then after about 8 months of doing this stuff, I was now implementing the theoretical knowledge that I learned in my classes into these projects. I was using fluid mechanics principles. I was using gear principles. It is a combination of theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge from projects that brings you the real engineering skills that will make you stand out. And I know that for a fact because in the internship interview that I nailed, one of the recruiters was literally looking at my projects and they were impressed by the rotary engine. They were asking so many questions about it, asking about which 3D printer I use, what filament I use, how did I actually design this, which softwares I used. Now, do you think this internship recruiter would have been interested in me if I just was a good boy who got perfect straight A's like probably everyone else that I was competing against? No, I wouldn't have stood out. But since I made these personal projects and thereby showed my competence of being an engineer, I landed the internship. So stop spending every freaking second of your day allocated it to studying and allocated to getting the perfect report card, because you don't need a perfect report card. What you need is projects. So start defining which projects should you make. How are you going to make these projects? What skills are you going to use? And what skills are you trying to develop? Okay, so start now, not later. Click the link in the description if you need help. Just get to work. I don't care how socially awkward you are. I believe that university is one of the most social places on this earth. There's no reason that you can't connect with other people. These specific other people that I'm talking about is the top 1% of engineering students. You know who I'm talking about. They just give off that vibe of being locked in, focused in class, asking questions, tons of questions, going up to the professor after the lecture to ask more questions. And I wouldn't say this if this is not valuable information. Okay, you're thinking like, oh, it's probably not gonna help me out that much in the long run. But the truth is that I earn sharpens iron. If you surround yourself around the top 1% of engineering students, then you're bound to be a top 1% engineering student. You just develop their habits, because naturally, when you're spending more time with these types of people, you want to fit in with them, right? And not only you develop the habits of them, but you also develop a connection that will later potentially help you out in your career. Furthermore, whether you're in an internship or you're working as an actual engineer after graduation, you're gonna have to talk with professional engineers. And these top 1% of engineering students, they're the closest thing to that. Okay, so if you could get used to communicating with other engineers just in school, then you will have no problem with communicating with real professional engineers once you work in your engineering career. In that same program that I mentioned earlier, there are other engineering students that are like you, like-minded, like us, because they're from my channel. They're watching these types of videos like you, trying to become a better engineer every single day. So check out the community. It's also part of the program. At the first internship that I worked at, I was assigned my first project within the first week of working there. I'm not going to say what the project was, but I worked diligently at it for fucking months. Months, I say. I was just grinding on SolidWorks, concentric mate, extrude, revolve, extrude cut, concentric mate, distance mate. I was so locked in and so confident in my abilities that I didn't ask any questions. And then a few months later, after I was finally done that project, there's something that we have to do, which is a design review, where I bring the supervisor and I bring other engineers into a room so that we could look at my design and they could give me any critiques. Now, I didn't think that I'd get a lot of critiques. I'd be like, okay, this is a perfect, solid design. But when we started that meeting, they immediately started critiquing it. They're like, oh, this error here, this error here, this error here, this error. I was just trying to take note after note after note after trying to keep up with what they're saying. I was getting fucking flamed out there, bro. And this all could have been avoided if I simply asked questions to the literal engineers around me in the office. But I didn't. And because I didn't ask these questions, I wasted months of time. I could have had more volume of work and thereby had more experience in engineering. But no. I decided to not ask questions. And you might be like that also in your classes. You might not sit at the front, you might sit at the back and not ask questions, raising your hand. Might not even approach the professor after the lecture is done. But that's not how you're going to get ahead. If you're not developing the skill of asking questions right now in university, what chance do you have of succeeding in the engineering industry? You're always going to have to ask questions, whether you're being trained or you know everything. You always have to ask questions because, once again, you have to communicate with other engineers when you're in the engineering field. So get used to asking questions. I know the thoughts that you have in class. You're like, oh, this is a dumb question. Everyone's going to laugh at me. Oh, this seems like a too simple question. I'll just ask someone else later. And then you don't. And then what happens? You don't know how to solve your homework. And then you fucking fail the class or something. What I'm trying to say here is that asking questions is going to get you ahead. It may embarrass you for like 1 second, but that embarrassment isn't even real. Other people are too busy dozing off in class to critique you for asking a question, to critique you for being better than them who are sitting silently at their laptops, having those same thoughts as you that you once had of like, oh, my question is dumb. The professor's gonna look at me stupid. It's too late to ask this question. We've already moved on to the next subject. I know the questions that you have in your head, and I know what your inner thoughts say when you try to ask these questions. Don't let those inner thoughts get in the way, because you're trying to become the greatest engineer possible, right? You're trying to develop into the greatest career possible and your dream career. And doing that is going to require you to ask questions. Okay, so get used to it while you're still in university. Click the top link in the description if you need my help to skyrocket your career while you're just in university, and I'll see you next time.